So there was a league. So before, like, there was a G League and all that other stuff, there was a league that was called the USBL, United States Basketball League. Now, unlike most basketball leagues, they played in the summer. And it was a smart, actually, it was a smart business plan because a lot of times that league, summer circuit, and you would play in smaller places, but you would get people you've heard of playing in it for various reasons. For instance, guys who played in the minors. Now, again, there's really no minor league anymore in basketball, like not one of what it used to be. But back in the day, there was the CBA, the Continental Basketball Association. There were other leagues like that. Then, of course, there's guys who play in Europe who are trying to get into the NBA. And so you would use the USBL as a way to showcase your game for scouts, try to get invites to NBA training camps that open up in October. So this league was smart. It stayed in the Northeast. And it would get players who, again, good college players that you've heard of that are overseas trying to get a look, and guys that are also maybe in the minor leagues as well. So I was a sports writer for Newsday. That's Long Island. That's where I live. And that's my first break came on Long Island. I had a weekly newspaper out in the Hamptons. And then from that experience, Newsday then hired me. And, you're just basically a part-time guy. You're taking any assignment you could possibly get just to get a byline. And this was one. I knew basketball. I felt comfortable going to these games. And so they gave me an assignment to go cover these Long Island surf games. And they were at a high school gym. It wasn't anything fancy, nothing elaborate. And I remember and it wasn't a lot of people that would go. I mean, they pull the bleachers out as if they're expecting, 5,000 people. And it's like, it's a handful of people would be there. I mean, some of the players, family would show up after the game to pick them up. I ain't watching this. But I was there, and I'm sitting there at this game. And, the Knicks were in their heyday at the time, in the 90s, and Jeff was the coach of the team. And I was a big Knicks fan. I followed the Knicks closely. And so, obviously, the minute I turned my head, and that looks like Jeff Van Gundy. Like, what's he doing here? And now, again, the Knicks had a relationship with the USBL because Anthony Mason, God rest his soul, was a player that they found in the USBL. Saw him play. They had one of the Fuzzy Levine was a scout, Knicks scout. He used to go to surf games all the time, and he would watch games and he would, get some guys at least training camp invites. So the Knicks kept an eye on things with the surf a lot, and suddenly Jeff was sitting there in the gym watching the game, and there's nobody around. So I'm just looking at okay, what do I do? What's the right thing to do here? Am I going to bother him? I mean, he's Knicks head coach. I don't cover the Knicks. Should I just leave him alone and let him watch the game and not bother him? And then little by little, I kind of would glance, and then eventually he just looks at me. He's like, "How you doing?" like he knew, right? He knew. So I'm like, I introduced myself, and we just have a small talk. But it was kind of cool to just sit there in a casual setting, just watching basketball. Just kind of, talking. I wasn't trying to interview him. I certainly wasn't jotting notes down or anything like that. It wasn't like he was giving me gems, and he wasn't giving me, a whole bunch of hot takes that I, would turn into a big breaking story. But it was more of we're just talking hoop, watching players, and I liked it. It told me a lot about him, like you said. Number one, when I asked him why he was there, he said that he was in the area. He knew that it was a game and he wanted to watch a game. I mean, it's as simple as that. I just want to catch a game, just like I like watching basketball. And so that's what it ended up being. I might have had 2 or 3 quotes from him in the actual story, but nothing that would have been earth-shattering. I probably should have dug deeper, of course, but I was, in a way, a little bit awestruck because I was still very young that he was there, and also caught up in, don't make this about you. Don't try to be a hero. Don't try to do something that, I got to get the scoop. While you want to be like that in some situations where you are aggressive and you understand, wait, I got this exclusive situation. I want to get something out of this. There's also times where you recognize this ain't the place for that. There's no story going on that I needed to press him about. And I thought to myself, because my goal was one day to cover the Knicks, myself was I got FaceTime with this guy, and one day I'm going to be in front of him again, and he'll remember me.